Well, hello, and welcome to After the Show. I'm your host, Crystal Vilkaitis, and I hope that you loved Heidi's episode. She's just doing awesome things, building her 7-figure business, and I love being able to sit down in person with her. We've been working with Heidi for many years, and she's just such an inspiration. She's so driven. And I had a couple of big takeaways from Heidi today. One, I'm going to talk a lot about at Evolve, and it's something that I really try to think about myself. Is when she said how she's got this, I think she said there's a post-it on her computer somewhere where she has a note that says that operate like your success is inevitable. Like her success is inevitable. She knows it. She believes it. She trusts it. And obviously she is successful. And I have said this over the years where I've been working with retailers and talking to them about results that they've seen with their marketing and their social media, digital marketing. And so many retailers have come up to me over the years and have said, like, I never could have imagined this level of success, or I never could have imagined these results. And I think that what we do as humans often is our brain just really wants to understand where we're going, what's going to happen. Give it to me black and white. Like, I don't want anything that's going to make me feel unsafe. I don't want the fear. The fear is the unknown. And so we're always searching for the answer and for the path. And sometimes we do that. We need that answer before we can begin or before we take the next step. And the funny thing about it all is that your brain cannot imagine the type of success that you're going to have. I mean, for example, I go on a lot of walks and I love our neighborhood. We just have like the best neighborhood, I feel like, for walking. And I really think it's important to have space in your day or in your week just to think about things and have creative time. And I was just walking. I wasn't even really thinking about anything, but an idea jumped into my head, which was to give therapy to retailers and do it on this show. And so, fast forward, we launched retail therapy, and retail therapy is something that the guests get so much out of, my listeners get so much out of. They've told me the therapy sessions have helped me so much in my business and my worth and giving myself permission. Like I've just gotten so much on so many different levels out of this retail therapy. And it's not like I first started saying like, okay, these are the results that I'm going to need, and this is how I'm going to do it. I never would have came up with retail therapy if I was trying to know the result first. So we just have to get into motion, get into action. I say that a lot on this show, but you really just can't imagine what is to come. You never know when you talk to somebody. Like another example of this, I used to, way back in the day when I was in my early 20s, I worked for this company called Gen Green. And we would go to these green festivals, Green Fest. I don't think they do them anymore, but it was all these sustainable products and businesses. And we built a directory that basically matched the consumer with green businesses and co-ops, farmers markets, like all sorts of great resources. And through that, we met a lot of different vendors and a lot of product people. And we met this company called Mr. Ellie Poo. Mr. Ellie Poo was founded by Carl Wald, and Carl was from New York, and that's where he was doing his business out of, but he was working with villages in Sri Lanka to create paper products out of elephant poo. And it was just a really beautiful business model and how he's helping these villages. The products are super cute. And so, of course, we listed Carl on the website. Well, fast forward, like 18 months after meeting Carl, and one day he calls me and invites me to come live at his house, sleeping on an air mattress in his apartment, to work the holiday show at Bryant Park and sell elephant poo paper at Bryant Park. And I said yes. Like, I could have never imagined that is something that I would have done with my life. But I showed up to the job. I met Carl. I stayed in touch with Carl. This is where I think it's just so important that we stay in touch with people and connect people and help people however we can. So I flew out to Brooklyn, and my family was really nervous because I was going to be on the subway. I took the subway every day into Bryant Park. I was there for 3 months and I had the best time. Like, that was such a growth moment for me personally. I fell in love with New York City, and there was just so many great things that came out of that. So I just think of that with like, we never could have imagined this success, and Heidi's, your success is inevitable. What I want us to do, like you as the listeners, I want you to channel Heidi and channel that note that she has, and just really know that your success is inevitable, but we can't put an exact picture on what that looks like. Of course, there might be specific goals that you have. One for me is I would love to be a best-selling author. You might have some of those, but we need to just then get into motion. Just allow that success to come in. And the other thing that Heidi said in the very beginning of this episode was just talking about making hard decisions and how she had to get a divorce from her business of making these clothes. And it was really challenging for her. And as business owners, we make tough decisions often. We're making decisions every single day. I mean, oh my goodness, do you ever have decision fatigue? I do. It's a lot running a business, and man, some days are better than others, but you have to make a lot of decisions. And sometimes there's really hard decisions or really big decisions. And I can relate so much with that in this episode because I recently made a tough decision, which was to stop doing Evolve, my conference, which if you're listening to this as the episode drops, you could still get a ticket, but you most likely have passed the deadline. No more Evolve is available. March 12th is when we stop selling tickets to Evolve. Here is what you're going to get when you go to this conference. You're going to learn how to become a destination business where people are seeking you out and driving maybe even a couple of hours to come see you. You're going to learn how to work less and make more. We have several topics on this. This is about systems. It's about structure. It's about what's working today. You're going to hear from a very successful retailer who has figured this out. You're going to learn how to get customers to come in more often. This is a challenge, getting people to come in again and again and again versus just one time. We're going to teach you how to grow loyalty. You're also going to learn how to grow your online visibility. And this is so important, whether you're an in-person brick and mortar store or online or both. There are so many things you can do to really grow. And I want this to be your year where you're really standing out online and people are easily finding you. I have had multiple retailers say that this event is life-changing. This is a business conference, but it can absolutely have such a big impact on your life and your team. This could be the difference between having an okay year or maybe kind of a down year to having an exceptional year. I want this to be your best year ever. And the sessions that we have Evolve is going to help get you there. Some logistics in your ticket price. It includes 3 nights stay at the beautiful Gaylord Rockies where the event is held. You also are getting the replays to all the sessions as well. You'll get those sent with you so you and your team could go and revisit those as well. You get networking time with the speakers, time with me. This is the event of the year that you do not want to miss. So go to rootedinretail.com/evolve. Use the code ROOTED to save some money on your ticket just by being a listener and make the investment in yourself and in your business. It's too important not to miss this. All right, I'll see you in the room. You've heard me talk about Evolve on this show, but this is a really special event. We have a lot of transformation that happens for the attendees in the room. I really do think that one of my superpowers is putting on a really good live event. I'm really good at content and really making it worth the attendees' investment. And I really enjoy connecting in person. And so when I decided to stop doing Evolve, that was a big decision. I had a divorce with Evolve, but I'm evolving. The business is evolving. And as a business owner, you can so relate to this. I mean, everything that we do, we really need to be looking at what are the metrics, like ultimately you got to take out any kind of emotion. We can add that back later. But I think that we initially, when we're going to make big decisions, we need to really look at the facts and look at the data, which we also talk a lot about on this show. And so I looked at, what are the facts of this and what are all the benefits that this conference does for my business? What are all the benefits it does for the attendees? How much does it cost to run this event? What is our profit potential? All the numbers, right? And you've got the profit potential going in before on ticket sales and sponsorship, and then after when you sell from stage and people come visit your booth. So there's so many things, so many facts that I was looking at. And also how much time, what's the energy and effort you're putting in to do an event like this. And as you can imagine, like if any of you have ever done live events, you know how much work it is. It's very expensive. And it also is so much work. I feel like I have just given my blood, sweat, and tears and so much time to this event because I care so much about it. And it's only a 3-day thing. Like when I really looked at all the facts of how much time I'm spending and how much money we're spending, and it's only for 3 days. Now, look, we could create massive transformation for the people in the room. And so that could be so worth it. But ultimately, the math wasn't mathing from a time perspective, revenue potential, and the things that we could do with that time. Like if I invested that time into this show, if we invested some of that money into maybe smaller pop-up events across the country, not just in Denver, not just once a year, how can we do maybe a 1-day thing that's easier to pull off and not a lot of moving pieces. And then we could still have that in-person connection. We could still provide that transformation. We could still have awesome conversations and content. So that's kind of more so where I'm seeing the future go from an event perspective, live podcast recordings, fireside chats, pop-up 1-day events, no guarantees, but this is just where my mind is going, because of course my brain wants to fill, well, if we're not doing that, then what are we doing? It wants answers. And so I am trying to listen to Heidi. My success is inevitable. Exactly how that looks, I don't know. I've got a lot of ideas, but first things first, we're going to pull off an amazing third Evolve, our last one ever. And I know that will be very successful. And then we go on to the next, and it's just keep taking the next step. Keep following the clues. Where are you feeling pulled? Giving yourself some time and space, like I did on that walk and retail therapy jumped in. Reconnecting with old contacts, like I did with Carl, and that opportunity came in. Just allowing to kind of put your feelers out there and see, because I know my success is inevitable, but I don't necessarily know exactly how that looks today. But in order to allow that to come in, I think of the rosebush. We have to prune the rosebush to allow it to grow even bigger, right? And be this really big, beautiful, healthy rosebush. And so sometimes in business, we have to prune the business. And that is exactly what Heidi did with her clothing company that she was making initially. You have to prune. So sometimes those decisions are just writing on the wall. It's so easy to make. Sometimes it's harder. Sometimes there's more at risk, more pressure. I get it. Trust me, I get it. I know how hard it can be, but we have to prune the rosebush. We have to trust that our success is inevitable. And we have to just really follow those clues and that alignment, because your success is inevitable. You got this. So those are my big takeaways from Heidi's episode today, or, that dropped a couple of days ago. I hope you get a chance to listen to hers. If you are coming to Evolve, go say hi to Heidi. She's going to be there. And make sure that you are in our Rooted in Retail Facebook group. Share with me your top takeaways. I would love to know, what are some of your favorite guests? What are some of your favorite topics? Is there a guest or topic you'd like to hear that we haven't covered on the show yet? Share it in that Facebook group. Just go to facebook.com, search for Rooted in Retail. It's a group. Join the group, introduce yourself, and let me know what you'd like to hear or what you're loving. I would love to hear from you. All right. I'm rooting for your success. Have a great week ahead. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Rooted in Retail. It means the world to me. A big favor, if you're loving the show, if you could go and leave a review. If you are an Apple listener, You can also leave a comment on Spotify if you listen that way, but that would mean the world to me. And if you're loving these conversations and you want to go deeper, then consider joining us in the mastermind. That's where you can have conversations with me, other community members, as well as speakers and guests that you've seen on this show. So go to rootedinretail.com/mastermind to learn more.